do you know if Miss Willis and Mr. Wade started dating in October of 2019?
I don't know if it was October of 2019.
Was it roughly?
Could it possibly be November of 2019?
Could possibly.
Okay. And when we spoke, you said it was shortly after the municipal court conference, though, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So you know that their relationship, their personal relationship, began shortly after this municipal court conference.
That's what you call networking,
Yes.
people.
And when I say personal, romantic. I just want to make sure we don't get in an argument over what personal and romantic is later. When I ask you personal,
Sexy
you
time.
take that to mean romantic.
I don't know if it was romantic, but they were
Yes.
knocking boots.
And do you understand it that their relationship began in 2019 and continued until the last time you spoke with her?
Yes.
Yes.
Don't ask, she doesn't want to say one word more than she has to.
And you were essentially her best friend during this time, right?
I don't know if I was
My
her best
best
friend.
friend.
I was a good
Good
friend.
friend.
Good friend. Okay, close friend. And so would you frequently socialize with her?
Yes.
Yes.
And you saw her at work every day?
Yes.
Yes.
So you had a chance to see them interact together on a personal level?
Yes.
Yes.
And so from everything that you saw, heard, witnessed, it's your understanding that they were in a romantic relationship beginning in 2019?
Yes.
Yes.
You filed for divorce from your wife on November 2nd, 2021?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And in that divorce proceeding, did you file
An affidavit.
answers, things such as interrogatories?
I did.
Okay. And so interrogatories are where you're responding to things that basically
Interrogatories,
answers that the other side is
depositions,
asking.
discoveries.
Yes, ma'am.
And
This guy's life is flashing before his eyes.
I've got
right now.
your complaint for divorce. I'm just going to mark it for the record as Defendant's Exhibit 2. The first interrogatories that you answered, those were December 27th, 2021. Is that right?
Thereabout. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And in those, you were asked different things, but those are sworn. You actually swear to those.
Yes,
You verify
yes,
them,
where
right?
you can actually be held in, under perjury.
And so that verification is where you're swearing under oath that everything in it is true?
Yes, ma'am.
The gravy train is over, Wade.
And let's see,
This guy looks very unhappy and
you were
sad right
asked
now.
if you had any documents which relate to the purchase of gifts by you to any person other than the defendant with whom you have or had a relationship, romantic relationship, from the date of your marriage, correct?
That's
Yes,
his
ma'am.
wife.
Okay. And you responded under oath that you didn't have any documents to that.
That's correct.
I didn't have the documents.
You
I did it.
again responded to an interrogatory. You updated those responses on May 30th, 2023?
Yes, ma'am.
To plead the.
And you actually sent those directly to opposing counsel in the divorce?
Yes, ma'am. I think so.
But in that one,
Uh-oh.
you answered none again to that question, correct?
Tension.
ma'am.
The tension builds.
So May 30th, 2023, you said that you didn't have any documents showing any purchase of anything.
I didn't, because
with
they were in
someone
my
that you had a
company.
romantic relationship with.
I believe the interrogatory was gifts,
Okay?
not anything. Gifts.
So it asks you if you have any receipts for things like restaurants, bars, hotels, things like that, where you accompanied a member of the other sex romantic partner. Correct?
I think I could see his pulse in the vein in his
Says
head.
identify any and all occasions.
You prepared this document,
I did.
submitted it,
I did.
and it says none as far as entertaining a member of the opposite sex.
It
I
does.
see.
Okay. No hotels, no bars, no restaurants.
Correct.
Okay. January 8th, 2024, when I filed the motion to disqualify you and alleged that you had a romantic relationship with Miss Willis.
Which you denied, by the way. Which,
After that, you updated these responses, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And so your new responses, you now changed your answer from that you didn't have any of this to you're asserting the privilege under 24-5-505, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
In 2022, in this affidavit, you swore that you and Willis developed a personal relationship.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you said that didn't develop until 2022, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And that's different from what you said in your pleading in May 2023 in the divorce case, correct?
No, ma'am.
In May 2023, when you were asked if you had if you'd had any affairs, essentially, and you said none.
That's correct.
Okay. So
It wasn't an
in
affair.
May, you said you had not, in May 2023, in the divorce case, you said you had not had a personal relationship, an affair, a romantic relationship with anyone.
That's correct.
But you told this court in the affidavit that you did have one that started in 2022.
Let's hear how he's going to get out of this.
So that would have been ongoing at 2023.
So
He's got an answer.
here, I think there's a distinction.
Ah, yes.
If you'd allow me to explain.
Please, go ahead.
The interrogatory asked the question during the course of your marriage.
Or to date, it actually says.
I'm going to request that the witness be permitted to answer.
Mr. Wade.
So my marriage was irretrievably broken in 2015, ma'am, by agreement. My wife and I agreed that once she had the affair
What a
in
sneaky
2015,
little
that
bastard.
we'd get a divorce. We didn't get a divorce immediately because my children were still in school and I refused to allow them to grow up without their father at the time. So we waited. We waited until the youngest graduated and we dropped her off at college and
Got divorced.
didn't file for the divorce. So if you're asking me about the interrogatory as it relates to having the 2022 relationship with District Attorney Willis, I'm going to say because my marriage was irretrievably broken, I was free to have a relationship.
So the question
Wow,
was if you had
what
had a
an
relationship.
absolute scumbag.
And in 2023, you said you did not. And that is different than what you said in this affidavit, correct?
No, ma'am. I said during the course of my marriage. So in
So you believe that
2015
to,
Let him finish, Mr. Nursery.
So in 2015, my marriage was irretrievably broken. So I did not have.
So
a
anything as of
relationship
2015, he
with
could have
anyone
answered that answer.
during
To.
the course of my marriage.
and in that interrogatory, they asked you if you had any receipts for travel with someone of the other sex up until the time you were answering it. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you said that
What
you
a
didn't. You've already testified
game.
to that earlier. But in this affidavit, you said, you swore that you had travel expenses and shared expenses on travel with Ms. Willis.
It was business. It wasn't personal.
Again, during the course of my marriage,
Which ended in 2015.
I had no relationship or receipts.
I'm not asking about during the course of your marriage.
Your Honor, I'm going to ask the witness be allowed to answer the question.
Continue. I have no problem with him answering.
Okay. As it relates to receipts today, I don't have any receipts, ma'am.
I don't. Where are they? Where are
So
they?
you don't have any travel receipts available to you for any travel that you did with Ms. Willis?
I don't have any receipts. No, ma'am.
You used your business credit card for these trips, correct?
I use my business credit card for everything.
Okay, yes. You used it for your kids' tuition.
Yes, ma'am.
You used it for personal travel with Ms. Willis.
Yes, ma'am.
And you have receipts from those business credit cards that you have to file with your taxes, correct?
No, ma'am.
No.
I filed a statement. I turn over the statement, and whatever's there on the statement, the accountant looks at it, and the accountant says, okay, this is personal, goes over here, this is business, goes over here.
I don't have
Pay
the
your taxes.
receipts.
That interrogatory states as follows. Identify any and all occasions in which you entertain a member of the opposite sex other than your spouse who is not related to you by blood or marriage. You see that?
I do.
Now, there are two parts to this. The second part is, I read on, or in which a member of the opposite sex, other than your spouse, not related to you by blood or marriage, entertained you. And then it goes on to say, including but not limited to dining, drinking, in restaurants, bars, pubs, hotels. You see that, correct?
I do.
Now, as of May the 30th, 2023, when you filed this interrogatory, you had in fact entertained Ms. Willis on many occasions, had you not?
Again, during the course of the marriage was irretrievably broken in 2015.
Well,
The
then let's-
answer's still no.
Let's read what the interrogatory says about the time period required to
Read
answer the interrogatory.
The deposition.
Because what it says is, it goes on to say, including but not limited to dining and or drinking at any restaurants, bars, pubs, hotels, or persons' homes from the date of marriage to the present. You understand what the word present means?
Yeah.
I do.
And present
It's what
means
Fani Willis gave
the
me every time we
filing
went on vacation.
On May the 30th, 2023. Isn't that right?
It is.
So as of May the 30th, 2023, you have done a lot, or you had done a lot of entertaining of Miss Willis, had you not?
I had done some, yes.
And in fact, under your testimony, you would have said that she had also entertained you. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
Oh, she
And so
entertained
your
me all right.
answer
All
to
night
this
long.
interrogatory is false, is it not, sir?
No, it's not false.
Well, hate to dance around the, the answer is yes, you did entertain Miss Willis, correct? Right?
Yes.
She's not your spouse at that time or any time, correct?
That's correct.
She's not related to you by blood or marriage, correct?
That's correct.
She
But
might
you
be.
entertained her, right?
Yes.
And during the course from your marriage,
This
the
is it.
period of time up to the present.
This is
so the answer
devastation.
would have been, yes, I did entertain somebody, correct?
During the course of the marriage, no.
Including the separation
Mr.
period.
Wade.
As
Mr.
in
Gill, I think we've made her point. I think it speaks for itself.
there you go.
We can save
Bam!
that for
The
argument.
judge has got it.
And
Ended
I'll
it.
just follow up
You're an
with one quick
effing
question.
liar, and the
You
judge
understand
knows it.
what the word present means? Did you go to the ATM with her?
No, sir. She didn't go to the ATM. She carried the cash.
Oh, and so
Oh,
she
really?
would give you the cash. Did you have a little place in your house where you just stack up all this cash that you apparently got to repay you for these
I like this
benefits
guy.
that you bestowed on her?
And Mr. Gillen, if I answered that, I'm putting myself in jeopardy. If I tell the world that I have cash someplace.
We
in
know
my
you
home,
got
I
the
think
cash,
that-
dude.
That could be problematic.
No, I don't. I want an answer as to whether or not you have a little cash hoard in your house.
You don't
where
deposit
you
it.
Have allegedly taken the money.
You dig it
that
and
you
bury it
got
in the
from
backyard?
Mrs. Willis and went and put it somewhere. Where'd you put it?
No, sir.
If this false interrogatory, serious business for a lawyer or anybody, and then suddenly he's changing. She files her financial declarations, same problems. We need her in here to go over all of this and to explain exactly what happened. So we would ask the court that the court allow Ms. Willis to be called and interrogated on these matters.
And I would too, Your Honor.
Just a moment, Ms. Willis. So, Ms. Cross,
Whoa,
I
whoa.
don't know if you
Do we
want
just see
to
her?
speak with Ms. Willis now. It's sounding like maybe they're withdrawing
I believe I'm.
the objection to the motion,
I believe the motion to,
or does Ms. Willis want to take the lead here?
Is that the Miss Willis?
withdraw the motion to quash Ms. Willis.
Based on the, I'm ready to go.
Okay, so the position of the district attorney at this point is that she's no longer contesting the subpoena. Ms. Merchant has called her as the next witness.
All of that for nothing. Oh my good God, people. Christmas came early.
I
Holy
would
crap.
ask,
Okay, I'll be quiet. I'll be
I
quiet.
need 3 documents in front of me, and they're the 3 filings of Ms. Merchant.
She's already coming off as a raging biatch, if I can be honest. She's frazzled. She doesn't look quite as good as she did on the church pulpit. Angry. She looks like she's gonna cry. Holy
Does anyone
crap.
have the 3 filings of Ms. Merchant? Does the court have the 3 filings of Ms. Merchant?
When you say the filings, you mean like the pleadings?
The pleadings, yes, Your Honor.
Okay, I think we could locate those for you.
Oh my goodness, she's coming off like a demanding. This.
The one filed on January the 8th.
She's flashing
the one
Satan.
filed immediately after we filed ours, and the final one.
She's gonna cry.
If you want to take a break to get them, I can make a copy.
Ms. Merchant, that's okay. I can handle it. Ms. Willis, I'll ask you to just listen to the answer, or excuse me, the question, and keep the answers confined to the question as best you can. I think you'll have more than enough ample opportunity on when the state is
Well,
able
it's
to
highly
follow
offensive
up.
when someone lies on you, and it's highly offensive when they try to implicate that you slept with somebody the first day you met with them, and I take exception to it.
All right, well, Ms. Willis, you'll have the opportunity to explain.
I
all that
wait
when
before
it's
sleeping with
concerned
them.
to ask more open-ended questions.
Yeah.
Ms. Merchant.
Thank you, Judge. So again, my question was, you all met at that conference though, right?
We did the
Okay.
meeting. He, as I stated, he taught the class. I did not actually meet him when he taught the class. I walked out of the class, and I'm not sure if it was that exact class or we had went to lunch, but we were standing in the vestibule, like outside of the class. Me and Judge Reeves were having a conversation. She had worked at a law firm I worked at back in 1996.
We're getting way afar. I mean, I don't mind her explaining her answers, but I literally just asked if they met at that
She's
conference.
explaining how she met Mr. Wade, which was exactly the question asked by Ms. Merchant.
Holy
Answers are
cow.
really appropriate.
Ms. Merchant, if you want more concise answers, perhaps you could lead the witness.
I will. Thank you, Judge.
Ah.
Isn't it true that you met Mr. Wade October 2019
I'm
at
gonna
the judges
We
conference?
haven't gotten to the point where Ms. Willis should be treated hostile in this situation.
The judge just said
I
it.
very much want to be here, so I'm not a hostile witness. I very much want to be here.
Not so much that you're hostile, Ms. Willis.
It's
as
that you're not
an adverse
answering.
witness. Your interests are opposed to Ms. Merchant's.
Holy cow! Keep talking, Fanny. Keep talking.
Just ask that
We
we,
can keep things moving. Ms.
Thank
Merchant,
you.
next question,
Yep.
please.
okay, so we've confirmed when you met. After
And
that,
we've confirmed when
isn't
you
it true-
sexed it up.
I need to explain this, and I think I get to explain my answers. When I met him, Judge Reeves introduced us. He handed me his business card. I'm unsure if I handed him my business card, but we exchanged information. He said, if you ever need any help, give me a call. And he walked to the parking lot.
So your office objected to us getting Delta records for flights that you may have taken with Mr. Wade.
And, well, no, look. I object to you getting records. You've been intrusive into people's personal lives. You're confused. You think I'm on trial. These people are on trial for trying to steal an election in 2020.
Oh.
I'm not
Oh,
on
my
trial,
goodness.
no matter how hard you try to put
Oh
me on
my
trial.
goodness.
So my question.
Oh, is
was,
she a psychopath
do you have
that
any
it just?
I object to you getting any personal records
Keep
of
going,
mine.
Fanny.
We're not dealing with privilege through a witness.
Keep going, Fanny.
And I'm not. No. I'm not dealing with privilege. What we had offered to put them in
This is-
camera
this
for
is
the court
the-
to review.
the
and
most
I just wanna know
disastrous
if
thing I've ever
she has
seen.
any
That's not
problem-
something you deal with a witness.
And I've seen a bird get stepped on.
I want to start with the lie that he lived with me in South Fulton in 2019, a home he's never been to. That's one lie you told in your
Judge,
document.
I-
No,
Judge, I didn't ask her about that.
Ms. Merchant, I want you to ask a very precise question. I think she's saying and answering that he did not live with her, so why don't we break that up into smaller
Ever.
parts?
And I didn't ask about living.
But you put in your, while we're talking about professionalism, while we're talking about professionalism, she put in 3 different documents
Folks,
he
you'll
lived
have
with me.
Full opportunity to respond.
The judge is going to get mad at her.
in
And filed that with the court.
Hold her in contempt.
2019.
He worked more hours than he was paid.
That's a contract.
And the county paid him for the work that he did.
The contract that you
So,
signed.
Don't be cute with me and then think that you're not going to get an answer.
And I will ask you about the contract in a minute. I asked you about cash. Did you ever pay him anything? And I'm trying to qualify my questions. I'm not talking about the contract with Fulton County that was paid. I'm not talking about
This is
that. I'm talking about outside of that. Did you ever pay him anything other than cash?
I've only given him cash a few times in the course of what we're talking about.
Thousands and
If we
thousands
would
of
go to
dollars.
dinner-
Let her finish her answers.
If we would go to dinner, I wouldn't give him cash because he paid for dinner or I paid for dinner. I've given him cash only a few times in life, probably 4.
Okay.
Yeah,
Probably
tens of
the most
thousands.
money I've ever handed him is $2,500.
Yeah,
So it's
4
not
times,
much
that's
money I've handed him,
$10,000.
Probably between $500 and $1,000.
You never wrote him a check?
Never. Outside of the contract.
I don't have checks.
Okay.
You don't have
So
checks.
you have no proof of any reimbursement for any of these things because it was all cash, right?
The testimony of one witness is enough to prove a fact.
Do
Telling me
you
that
have
I'm
any
lying to
proof?
you,
That's a
that I'm
no.
Intimating right here.
That's a no.
I'm asking if you have any proof that you paid him any
I
of
mean,
these
the
monies.
proof is what I just told you.
Oh, really? Take me.
There's no
Okay.
written proof.
No documentary evidence.
So I have some, probably some transactions like in Belize. I probably spent $500 on my card in Belize. I spent 800, I can't remember, $900 on each of our tickets to go to Belize. I did the $700. I probably got some minor expenses in Aruba that would be on a card. But for the most part, for those trips, other than, so the 2 cruises, I gave him money for those before we ever left.
Yeah, thousands of
'Cause they were
dollars.
pre-booked. Let me answer.
Well, the question was if you had any written proof. And so
So I've answered you that I've had written
we
proof.
can move
for-
to the next question. If you've answered if you had any written proof, and that was my question.
I want to make sure that we're clear that for the 2 cruises.
Judge,
and that's
I
the
asked if
cruise
she gave
plus
him written
Aruba.
proof.
We're not going to talk over each other. Ms. Merchant, she answered your question, so we can ask the next question.
Yep.
Ms. Willis and Ms. Cross will have plenty of opportunities to let you clarify.
The judge got it.
It's her turn.
I did have family law cases. I guess that's what they're talking about. And clients who couldn't pay their bills ain't clients, so no.
Clients who can't
My
pay their
question
bills
was
ain't
just,
clients.
This was a fair and accurate representation where it says you were trying to make it month to month at that point.
No, I don't think that that is actually a fair and accurate representation, but I am certain that after the 2018 election, I'm still not really happy about having given up that 50,000.
Did you tell anyone at Fulton County Board of County Commissioners about your relationship with Mr. Wade?
Nope.
No.
Why would I?
Did you disclose your relationship to anybody at Fulton County?
No. Why would I have? She's going to get defensive here.
No, I don't think so.
And as the
Ask
chief
another
law
one.
enforcement officer of Fulton County, I
Ask another
assume that you're familiar with the county code and ordinances.
I've said we're not going to cover that in this hearing, Ms. Merchant.
You once said that you would not engage with a personal relationship with anyone that worked for Fulton County. Is that correct?
Play the clip.
An employee?
Anyone that worked for
Oh,
Fulton County?
he's an
I said
external
an employee.
He's an external
Okay.
contractor. Not
So
so
that's
not
the
employee.
qualification you give an employee? You
I
wouldn't,
think that's the statement that I made, so if you want to quote me accurately.
so
Let's get the quote.
it's your
people.
position because Mr. Wade was not an employee? Or it's your position he wasn't an employee, correct?
Mr. Wade is not an employee, and he will tell you that over and over again.
Was your father still living in your house
After you
at the
left.
time you moved to what I would refer to as a Yurti condo?
Yes, sir, he was due to his concerns related to COVID.
Okay.
Thank you.
The safety concern was that there was potential danger at your house. Is that correct?
Yes, my address had been exposed, so yes, there was concerns about
So
potential
leave your dad
danger
there.
at my house.
whatever.
Okay, so anyone staying at your house in the time period after you went to the Yurti condo was still in danger, correct?
Yeah, well, no, he did.
I think you have to, it's your attorney, Ms. Willis. Sorry, Mr. Potty, your objection is speculation
Yes.
to the question of
Speculation.
Look at her. Gosh, she's a
whether
wreck.
someone was still in danger at her condo.
I can,
Just let her answer the question.
But,
Or Mr.
But you
Sadowski wants to
objected.
rephrase.
No,
I'm not
I
sure.
was able to
I've got
understand it.
I've got the objection, and then I have,
I'll withdraw the objection.
Oh yeah, now you
So
now,
then
now
I
you know
remember
her
the
answer.
question, so I can answer it.
well, you can now that the objection's been withdrawn. Can you try to answer that question?
Yes,
There's still a safety concern
I was-
for people staying at the house.
yes, I was very concerned about my father still living at the house. However,
Did you take your
if you
cash?
have dealt with an older gentleman, he was not leaving the house, despite my urging him that I thought he should leave as well. He did not want to leave the house because he was particularly worried at his age about COVID. But that became
What the hell? That makes no sense.
I don't want to say I was not happy with that decision of my father's, but I can't ultimately make him leave, and he stayed there too long, in my opinion.
Who in the prosecution team knew of your personal relationship, and now I'm talking romantic,
Sex.
with Mr. Wade?
Sexy time.
So, sir,
So, sir, I'm not answering.
I
that
am
question.
extremely private.
All I ask
No,
is
no,
who
no.
knew. It's not, if you, the answer is no one knew, that's fine.
No.
I ask you who knew.
Who knew?
Answer,
me just tell you
answer it
this.
and then explain, Ms. Willis.
I am very private.
Answer
When I
it.
supervised Mr. Body and Mr. McAfee, they didn't know who I was dating, but I can assure you I was dating somebody. So that I kept something private, that's my private
Who
life,
knew?
is not any mystery to anyone.
Who knew?
It's
knew?
like a woman doesn't have the right to keep her
A woman.
private life private.
Who knew?
And I'm speaking on this because there have been all these intimations.
You still
it's
answer the
called-
question, Ms. Willis.
How
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Who
Your
knew?
Honor?
Is there anyone else who knew about it? And then you can explain.
Who knew?
I don't know. I don't think so. I certainly didn't go out telling my business to the world.
Okay, so, the best of your recollection.
No one knew.
You didn't inform anyone on the prosecution team that the individual that you had chosen to lead the prosecution team had a personal relationship with you.
So I
Is that
think
correct?
That's inaccurate. Your question is inaccurate.
What,
Because you stated that the person I chose, we had a personal relationship. So we had a friendship. We have all these distinguishing factors.
Oh, yeah.
Remember, when I chose him in November of 21.
We weren't yet.
First of all,
boning.
let's get this straight. Mr. Wade was not actually my first choice. That's no insult to him.
Your Honor,
No,
I
it is
don't-
you because of the way
Judge-
you
the
phrased
judge is
the
gonna lose
question.
it.
You said when I chose him, I didn't inform people of a personal relationship. We have defined personal as romantic. It is an inaccurate way to state the question.
then I will
as-
certainly restate it so it is very accurate.
Okay, and please do not yell at me.
Oh,
Mr. Wade had a form of cancer
what was
that
it?
makes your allegations somewhat ridiculous.
And I do
Prostate cancer?
appreciate the
I'm not going to
characterization.
emasculate a black man, but I'm just telling
Jesus,
you.
this
sorry,
woman
what?
nothing
I'm
about.
not going to emasculate a black man.
What would be
Did you understand that?
emasculating about having
I
prostate
don't think
cancer?
we should
Get back on
discuss
track.
further.
Mr. Sadow, next question.
Trying to, Your Honor.
I did not accept a gift of him of more than $100 in 2022. The one exception to that, because I want us to be clear,
Want us to be clear.
is we probably went out to eat multiple times in the year. If you're considering eating a meal, you know, because we went out multiple times. That probably went to the level of more than $100. But if we're doing tit for tat like that, I probably paid for as many meals as he paid for. And so I did not receive any gifts from him.
That your testimony today is you had a cash hoard of maybe
What
up
did
to
you just call me?
$10,000 in cash where you laid your head at night so that you would dip out and there would be no record of it, correct?
That's not what I'm telling you, sir.
That's argument.
That's not,
They're gonna
that's
be an
not at all
objection.
what I'm telling you. What I'm telling you is that throughout the course of my life, I have always kept cash in my house. That cash has ranged from times, you know, my father would probably be ashamed of this because he would say it should be more.
Okay,
But that
enough with the shame
that
of your
cash
father,
at times has ranged from $500 to maybe $9,000, and he would be like, "That is not what I told you to do."
She's such a
I've always
disgusting
had that amount of
person, I'm
money.
sorry.
What I've told you
Always
is that when
pleading
I
on sympathy,
travel,
identity
you do better
politics.
negotiating when you travel. If you have cash, you go to get the cab. They say, "Oh, we're gonna charge you $300 for the day." Well, I got American cash. Will you take it for $150? And so it's my practice to take money when I travel. We're not talking about a whole lot of money. We're going to the Bahamas. $1,500 in cash is in my pocket, or at the most $2,500. Belize was actually probably the most money I've ever taken, and it was taken because it was a big deal. My 50th birthday sucked.
What are you
His
talking
50th
about?
birthday,
What are you
it sucked. It was
talking
terrible.
about?
No,
Your Honor,
and
I'd
so
like to get back
Shut
to
her
some
up.
questions here. rather
I'm
than-
trying to answer.
No, you're not.
I
You're.
think it would help if we.
So let's
Get a question
let's
here.
move to the specific yes or no's here. Have you told us today that you would keep a cash hoard in your residence up to about $9,000? Yes or no?
And throughout the course of my adult life. And so let's even be more specific than that.
let's.
Probably from the time,
Your Honor, I'm only asking for yes or no rather than
But I-
But
speech.
we have already covered this.
Yes,
so I
but
don't
yeah,
need
but
to
I'm
get to
trying
that
to-
point.
I'm
I know
trying
you're
to
laying the
move forward
foundation, but
other
it's already
than-
been laid. So
Yes.
The filibuster is here. I'm trying to move through the filibuster.
yeah, but we're not talking about a lot of, and so it could be 2,000, it could be 1,500, it could be 7,500. It just depends on what you're doing at
how I
that
felt-
time.
how I felt
What
that
I'm
day.
telling you is when I traveled, I took cash. I find that when you travel, especially to foreign countries, the American dollar does well, and it's good to have cash. You can negotiate with the taxi driver, with
Okay,
the
we
jet
heard
skis,
you, we heard
with
you,
the,
we heard you.
and it's not a lot of money we're talking about.
Your Honor,
Okay,
we
understood,
need
Ms.
to,
Willis.
we need
Let's
to
get
cut
to it.
off the.
Let's get to a
narrative
question, Mr. Gill.
That's because Mr. Wade was paid that money back, or he was paid due to the fact that I bought the plane ticket or I paid for the hotel. There were never money that he gave me. That wasn't the nature of our relationship. You know, there's so many men, and Mr. Wade is one of them, where the nature of the relationship is they're just paying a woman. The nature of our relationship is companionship and friendship. Despite the way people would like to paint certain women, it's just
Women.
not true.
Final question. And not a single solitary documentary piece of evidence.
We asked and
showing
answered,
that
man.
you
Come
have
on.
Withdrawn the cash to pay him
All
back.
right. Thank you,
Isn't
Mr.
that-
Gill.
That's not accurate.
Thank you.
Okay.
This might be the craziest shit I've ever seen. Sorry, earmuffs. In my life, it's a literal shit show. Earmuffs. This is why when you, this is who is trying to go after Donald Trump. You've got to be kidding me. That's from Jamie Young 714.